So I see a lot of people tapping out. It's a stunning thing to witness, but I also at the same time totally understand, and I don't really blame anybody for wanting to just give up, become jaded, hopeless, overrun with despair about our current situation, looking at all the war, all the corruption, all the evil running around, seemingly unchecked and unchallenged. At least that's what people believe, is that it's not being challenged. I personally think that it is, but I can see people running for refuge, and I don't necessarily see it being authentic. I see it being motivated by fear of the despair, of the anxiety that they're feeling about our time. And that's, again, to be expected. We've been put under a lot of pressure with all these various things and the nature of this war that we're in. And so it's easy to give up. And I think that's what I wanted to say, is that beware the easy path. What is the easy path right now? Is the easy path to make yourself stronger, to fight back, to keep that hope alive, that the truth will win, that justice will come for those that deserve it, that freedom will reign again? Is that the easy path? Or is it the easy path to take the black pill, stay in Wonderland, and allow yourself to give up on the fight? It's also important to know that the fight that I'm talking about is not necessarily the collective fight of all of us against the elites or the tyrants or the evil ones, those who lied to us, those who are committing great crimes against humanity. It's that, but in the end, is it? Because we're having this conversation about whether people are tapping out or not in the so-called truth freedom movement. It's always you against you. Always. When you boil it all down, when you push all the bullshit aside, it's always you against you. It's your true self versus your fear. And we're being tested as a species right now, and as individuals, we're being tested to the nth degree to see if we can summon the extra gear that's needed for us to actually evolve. That's how I see this time. I see this time from a big picture perspective, and maybe that's just my way of dealing with my own anxiety about the situation, my own fears about the situation. But I feel like it's a smart position to hold, to see the bigger things as though they were small, and to see the smaller things as though they were big, to look at things from the biggest possible perspective, because only then are you going to get clarity on all the little working pieces that we tend to get hyper focused on and to overanalyze, and then to project our own fears and elements of despair within ourselves that we hold about these things, to project those things into our time and then tell ourselves that is what's happening. When is it? Is it what's happening in the world right now? Or are we going through a massive cleansing cycle that's very necessary, and that we all play a little part in? So I guess the only question we have to ask ourselves, those of us that are feeling down and out and wanting to give up, it's too hard, we've lost too much. The question is there good in this world, and is it worth fighting for? It's the question asked by Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings. I posted that clip recently, and I love that clip. It's because I recently was watching The Lord of the Rings with my daughter, and it was amazing to watch how, after we watched those films, her angst lessened. because she was shown a heroic archetype of people that were brought to the very brink, to the very last micro inch, right to the black gates, right to the end, right to the point of annihilation, right to the point of destruction, brought right to that point. And yet they did succeed because they carried the mindset with them. No matter how much evil, no matter how much war, no matter how much suffering that we witness along the path, that's going to happen when you're living in a world that's also full of psychopaths and people who are jaded and people who are living in fear, people that are tearing themselves apart and then start tearing others apart. When you're living in a world full of those people, it's very hard to hold the torch of hope, of genuine hope, of rational hope. But when you're shown those great heroes in films like Lord of the Rings and other great stories that we have in Western culture and in many cultures around the world, everybody has their mythos of the great heroes that came before, that went right to the brink, that sacrificed everything, that were on the brink of annihilation, either as individuals in their times or as entire peoples. We can draw strength from that. And we could say, because those stories exist, the people who told those stories existed, and the people that told those stories contain the memory of those incidents that happened, obviously blown up into mythology, but that are talking about these great ages, the changing of the guard over the ages, and that there was always these disruptive times that would take place, the fourth turnings and all these kind of things, right? And that in order to evolve, humans need to be thrown up against the wall of annihilation. And that those good people that documented those things, whether in historical records or in their contributions to philosophy or their contributions to mythology, that's mythologizing the true events that have happened of other humans that have experienced times like what we're in right now and that came out victorious. They're encapsulated in a lot of these ancient stories. That alone is evidence that yes, there is good in the world. And there are many instances I could tell you even about what's going on right now in our time that demonstrate that there's good in this world. In my opinion, the best evidence for that is the fact that here we still are. Not everybody's making it. Not everybody made it through 2020 and beyond. But a lot of people did. Here you are listening to this right now, asking yourself, is there good in the world? Yet here you are asking the question, which means you're reflecting on your own goodness, which is good. That's a good thing. So there is good in the world, and it is worth fighting for. In fighting for the good, you might find more goodness within yourself. How about that? On the process of battling for what's right, what's true, what's good, you are becoming good. By taking the easy path, tapping out, giving up, taking the black pill, being like, we're totally screwed, man. The people constantly tell me over and over again in my comment threads, it's over. All I can recommend, practice being good and practice not tapping out. Practice not tapping out. Do something in your life that is going to challenge you to get outside your comfort zone, to face your immortality, to face your weaknesses, to face your fears, your inhibitions, your limiting belief systems, your doubts, and your inner despair that's eating away at you. Practice something that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. It has to be all three. It can't just be one. It's got to be all three. Because you are all three of those things. So you need something that's going to make it as real as possible so that you get a little training lab where you can practice victory, practice winning, practice being successful at overcoming insurmountable odds. Practice getting knocked down and getting up again. Practice failing and succeeding. Practice winning and losing. Temper yourself. Forge yourself. Become worthy to hold that sword and shield in this fight. To fight for what's good. It's all fine and good to say it and speak it, but doing it is a totally different ballgame. And I think that's what people are missing, is they've got the lingo down that they've memorized, but they don't have the actual hands-on experience, and that's why they're cracking. And it doesn't have to be this way. So the minute your mind starts to tell you, and all the people around you that have adopted the same Gollum in their head, that it is hopeless and there's nothing to hope for, and the bad guys have cinched this up already, and evil's gonna run rampant in the world, and there is no good worth preserving, and it isn't worth fighting for. All hope is lost. Woe is me. I'm a victim. The minute that voice starts to crowd your mind, you need to do things on a practical level to practice addressing that voice. Don't repress that voice. Recognize what it is. Face it. And become its master rather than letting that voice become your master. And you do that by what I'm suggesting. This is just my opinion. Take it or leave it. You do that by getting involved in a practice. For me, it's martial arts. For you, maybe it's something else. But getting involved in a practice where you're forced out of your comfort zones regularly. You have to sweat. You have to try. You have to fail. You have to see that you need to do something that's going to teach you how to be calm under pressure. And not to just run to the nearest handrail for support, but to learn how to build support from the inside out, from the inside out. Not the outside in, from the inside out. You got it backwards. So yeah, if you were to ask me, is there good in the world? Hell yeah, there's good in this world. And is it worth fighting for? It's the only thing worth fighting for. What else are you here to do? Why are you here? If you don't know why you're here, that's why you're here. That's why you're here. You're here to see the good, to create the good, and then to fight for it. But not to fight for it for everybody else. This is something you do for yourself. This is something you do for yourself from the inside out. We are being given a golden opportunity to evolve to the next level as individuals and even as a species. That's what this darkness is for, whether it knows it or not. It is in service to the good. Even though it would never admit it, it is. So, are you locked in this planet with a bunch of psychopaths and doomers running around? Or are they locked in here with you? Are you going to let them turn your light off? Are you going to let them blow that candle out? That candle of hope, of truth, of freedom? That is the spark of the very essence of what it means to be a human being. Are you going to let them blow that out just because they're what? Being open about it, and you see the spirit of evil operating all over the place? It's only operating all over the place because the good have packed up and tapped out. That's the only reason. The immune system has been lowered. And so the pathogen takes over. But once you see that if you can win and beat that pathogen and you can conquer it, your immunity is raised. So it works on all levels. So there is good in this world. It is worth fighting for. And I have a feeling that we are on the brink of major breakthroughs that are unimaginable to you right now. Unimaginable. And I hope that you haven't only focused on the negative things going on, just even with this little window of time from 2020 to now. I hope you've also seen the positive things. We've got the best humor, got the best people becoming stronger. I know for myself, I am not even close to the same person now that I was before in 2019. I have gained on so many levels, even though I've suffered as well. I am stronger now than I've ever been. That's what you have to say to yourself. I've built my goodness. I've built myself. I've learned so much. I've gained so much experience and wisdom and insight by watching the world and then learning how to take that within myself and build these truths within myself. So don't give up hope. There's always hope. Right to the last end. Right to the last moment. And isn't that a better way to live? So don't listen to the doomers and gloomers. Choose to listen to those voices, of which there are many that you can learn from, whether they're literal historical figures who've written their experiences down of facing incredible evil and trauma and horror in their lives, yet came out brilliant, creative geniuses that actually contributed to the evolution of humanity. You could be that guy, or you could be the frightened, easily led, totally whipped person that wants to quit and give up at every single obstacle. And which one do you think is going to survive the time that we're in? I'll leave it to you, my friend. Be well.